everybody. This is John with John and Debbie's Keep It or Send It Back. And today I'd like to talk about carboys. These are glass carboys used in beer making. And the brewing that I did with them was a heavy hopped beer. It was a New England IPA. And I did have a little bit of problem because I overfilled the bottles. And I had a heavy fermentation process going on, which created too much pressure, which pushed some of the yeast and hops up into the airlock and caused the airlock to shoot out like a rocket and shot beer on the wall, the computer, the ceiling. So if you're going to use these bottles, make sure that you fill them probably only to about 2.5 gallons. So if you're doing a 5-gallon brew, these bottles would work out well. Just make sure you don't put over 2.5 gallons in each bottle. They'll work out perfect for you. Now, the airlock that I have on here is one with the top on it, and the airlock will let the carbon dioxide out and keep the air from coming in. But if it's overloaded with some yeast or hops going up into it to block the carbon dioxide from coming out, you're going to have a problem, which is what happened to me. So I would suggest buying the cork that has the air tube and make your airlock the kind that is in a bucket using a hose. That way you won't have any kind of problem with this small bottle over fermenting, creating too much carbon dioxide and blowing the airlock right out of it, because you'll have a larger opening to let the air out and it won't block up the same way. So anyway, as far as the manufacturing of the bottles are concerned, I was very happy with the quality of the bottles and the look of the bottle, but there were a few scratches in the bottom that I'm sure happened during the manufacturing, but it didn't concern me too much because I don't think it'll cause the bottle to crack or make the bottle weak. It was just a little, a cosmetic concern that you can see that it was scratched up on the bottom. But otherwise, I'm very happy with the bottles. Now, when you're buying these bottles online, make sure you look at the comments, because on Amazon, there was probably like 10 or 15 comments on all the different Carboy glass bottles that I looked at. And some of the people were concerned with buying from China, that there might be lead in the bottles, in the glass. And I can see where they could be concerned with that, because China has had a problem in the past with contamination with dog food, baby food, fish and other items, toothpaste, having chemicals in there from I guess their contaminated groundwater or processing. So I'm not sure exactly if that is a problem or not, but I can remember plates in the past would say do not use in contact with food because of lead. Now I think China probably straightened all those kind of problems out, and I would think that I really don't think it's a problem, but don't know. It'd be a case-by-case situation, and look and make sure that whoever is selling these, if they're coming from China, that they say on there that they are not contaminated with lead. Now, another concern I have with the bottles happened to be the packaging. Now, one of the sites on Amazon said they are not responsible if the bottles are broken during shipping. So if you use UPS, FedEx, or the post office to ship these bottles, they won't guarantee it. They're not responsible for the bottles breaking. Well, I think that they should be responsible, because when these bottles came here, they were not properly packaged, and that they did not have any kind of padding in them. There was no like bubble wrap in there. There was no extra paper or cardboard or anything to protect the bottles. And I did notice they had one of the packages upside down compared to the other, and I think that was to balance the weight out so it wouldn't be so top heavy, which was fine. But I do think they should guarantee that the product is going to make it there in one piece and not be damaged. Now, as far as moving the bottles around, when you have your wort in there and it's fermenting and turning into beer, if you look at how much yeast and the trouble I have in the bottom of it, and a mixture of a lot of dry hopping, that material is going to stick to that bottle, and you do need something to clean the bottle out with. And I would recommend a good bottle brush that can fit inside the bottle properly and loosen it all up, because as you can see, it will not rinse out. I tried to rinse it out of this bottle, it didn't work, and I did wash it several times with a soapy solution to try and get it to break loose, and it is going to need some kind of contact with either a brush or some kind of friction, to loosen it up, because it certainly wasn't doing it with water. And I shook it up pretty vigorously. Came out of the bottom pretty easy, but did not come out of the top. But see, the bottom stayed moist the whole time through the fermentation, where the top part of it was more or less dry. Now, as far as keeping this bottle or sending it back, I would keep it. I'm going to keep these bottles, and I'm sure I'm going to get good use out of them, but I'm going to use them like they're supposed to be used, and just use about 2.5 gallons per bottle when I'm doing my fermenting. And I'm going to switch, instead of having this small airlock on the top, I am going to switch to an airlock that has a hose with it. Well, I hope I gave you a lot of information here and helped you make a decision on whether you would like to buy these bottles or not. So please subscribe, and if you have any comments, please go ahead and post them, and I'll get back with you. Thank you, and have a nice day.